Welcome to Tanked Up. Hey, the podcast all about, what am I saying this week? What was it last week? Video games and beer? Games and alcohol, drinks and
yes, it was
stuff.
alcohol and it was gin and
I think it was
mobile games.
Yeah, it was like pastimes and
Yes.
and alcohol by the end of it.
Brilliant. I don't know what we're going to be talking about tonight, but it's somewhere related to those sorts of things.
In the middle.
In the middle, yeah, somewhere in the middle. So let's crack open beer. I will go first.
You're also joined by me.
Oh yeah,
Aadil,
people.
Oh yeah.
Lucy.
Yeah.
And I was gonna after
Ben.
that go into the fact that speaking of pastimes, you seem to have gone all Hulkamaniac and punched your punching bag off of its chain.
No. Kim came in as I was hitting
she
the bag.
did it.
No. She came in
Like,
as I was
instead of
hitting the
taking it
bag,
out on Ben.
and she realised that the top concrete block was pulling away from the wall a little bit.
Oh, Jesus.
And so in further investigation, there's tons of cement on the top of that concrete block, but there's no wall tie tying it into the brickwork behind. So it's kind of just sat on top of another block, not really stable. So I had to take it down
Gotcha.
because it was just going to go by itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I got a couch.
Oh, nice.
I had a flatmate move out, and I was like, "You can't give your couch to the new people. I'm taking it."
Yeah. Have every right to.
Yep, you got yourself a nice love seat there.
Yeah, and it folds out to like it's one of those cheap IKEA like fold outs where it's just like 3 cushions that are attached. But it means someone can crash here
Nice.
without having to deal with the floor.
Ooh, that's good for anyone looking to come and drink with us in Bristol.
Yes.
At any point. Callum and Lucy.
Yes.
So, now everyone knows who we are. I'm sure discerning listeners would have been able to pick up who was here from our voices. But, let's drink some beers. I am starting with some beers from Beer 52. From the latest box, because I've been too busy to get out to the bottle shop, basically. Or the can shop, really. It's not really a bottle shop anymore, is it?
No, even Siren are doing cans now.
I know. They've got some
weird.
lovely can art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
nice.
like it.
One of the things I mentioned to you as well, Aadil, when we were in Cotteridge, was Brew by Numbers cans. How they're changing up all of their art on the number themselves. You know, if it's like a honey something, it will have this lovely like honeycomb kind of look to the numbers and things. And they're doing some very clever things with
Will
what
it still have
they're
that like
rebranding.
black and sepia tone look to it?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Because I
instead
really
of
like that.
Instead of just a number, it's the outline of the number, and the inside is some sort of texture pattern,
That's
like the honeycomb stuff. It works really well.
Yeah, it does. So I've no idea whether I'm going to be saying this correctly, but I'm drinking a beer from Monyo Brewing, who are from Budapest in Hungary. All of the flavour text is unreadable, to me at least. It tells me that it's got hops and yeast and wheat malt, barley malt and water in it. It is a German Hefeweizen style unfiltered craft beer. It's 5.5%. And it is called Schatzi.
Yeah, it looks like
I
it.
like that.
Yep.
Schatzy.
Schatzi. It's got a like a bulldog on the front. There's a bear hiding from it in the background. Some nice art on there. Yeah, 5.5%. It does say the Plato is 13.6 degrees. So it gives me a little bit of something on there.
Yeah,
Not very much. Aadil, we'll come to you.
cool. I'm drinking from Salt, the Citra NEIPA JNR. I assume the JNR is junior because it's a session strength.
Okay, nice.
A session strength junior NEIPA brewed with generous additions of oats for creamy mouthfeel and smooth body. Bags of Citra in the kettle as dry hop make this super juicy and hazy. It's a junior juice bomb. And they just in the kettle and the dry hop it's Citra. Just a nice Citra NEIPA.
Yeah.
Lovely. Where is Salt based?
Oh, right. Sorry. Salt is based in. Where are we here? I looked up in the Saltaire. In
Okay.
199 Bingley Road. I don't know where Saltaire is in the UK.
Isn't it up in Scotland, like Stirchley Brewery?
I thought it was Scotland. Yeah.
Mm.
Could be
One
wrong.
of those Celtic places.
Yeah, we'll ask that Adam
Yeah.
Thomas, one of our Scottish humans.
One of our Scottish humans.
Oh no, maybe.
Yeah.
Just tell us that we're wrong. Good, Lucy. What have you got?
I have a beer from the only beer I'm drinking today, but because I wasn't going to drink anything, I was like, you know what, could do for beer. And it's from Left Handed Giant. It's called Inner Circle. It's their 5.2% pale ale. Hops, Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe. Yeast is WLP002. Doesn't have any flavour text. So yeah, it just seems like standard pale ale.
Yeah.
The trifecta of Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Going for one of
I don't
Left
even
Handed
have
Giant's
a
sort of
glass.
expertise with a pale ale. Good.
Yeah. This is how undecided I was about having a beer. I don't have a glass, so I'll
Oh
just
no.
describe the colour.
Chug it. Chug, 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 chug.
It might be one of those.
Just hold it really high above your mouth and slowly pour it.
Yeah, and just make a mess everywhere. Oh, it smells lovely.
How does it smell? Keep going, Luce.
Oh,
As you got
smells
your nose
beautiful.
in.
Yeah, like tropical. Just tropical flavours like mango, passion fruit, bit of orange. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. And from what I can see, it's quite a light, like, yeah, I'd say it's a light, either light amber or very light lemony colour. I can't really see in the.
That's
Never
fine. People can buy it for themselves and find out what the colour is.
If my measuring jug, which was gonna make an appearance and have so much water in, would have just poured it in that and slammed it.
Nice.
Oops.
Good. So we'll roll back round to my Schatzi Hefeweizen from Monyo in Budapest. I mean, nose is pretty much what you'd expect. It's got that sort of sweetness. It's got that sort of malty wheatiness to it, sort of straight off the nose. Very carbonated when I pour. There's almost no head to that whatsoever, and it's kind of it's pretty straw coloured. There's a little orange tinge to it, sort of right under the light.
Doesn't look too clear.
No, it's not clear. You can kind of see my thumb maybe just moving behind.
Yeah,
it
it's just like so before you lifted it up, it looked like it was super clear just when you just because it's a non-hazy color.
Very much, yeah.
But as soon as you lifted it up, and I saw that it didn't when you moved in front of your body, I couldn't tell at all. I was like, oh, this is opaque.
Yeah, they did say it's unfiltered, so that's kind of, I guess, just giving it that haziness. Essentially, you get a filtered Hefeweizen, it's going to be a lot clearer than this is, but. I mean, it's almost. I mean, it is smells like a wheat beer.
Excellent.
Doesn't give you it looks super carbonated, at least kind of it's almost edging on that sort of like Lucozade kind of consistency and colour. There was tons and tons of bubbles when I first poured. They've slowed down quite a lot, but there's still quite a lot there, especially if I give it a little shake. But in the flavour, you're not getting that. In the body, you're not getting that through at all. It's actually got this nice creaminess to it and a smoothness there, and then just this light kind of tongue tingle, giving you just that hint of the carbonation. It's got sort of all the hallmarks. It's very sort of this nice sweetness to it. It's not too sweet. It is that kind of malty sweetness that I'm getting, heightened a little bit, perhaps. Maybe sort of like the hops that they're using in there, but it is just a nice, sweet, quite balanced sort of beer. You know, it's not in your face. It's not big. It's not doing anything kind of drastic. It's just a very pleasant drink, especially with that creaminess just pulling back, you know, the carbonation. Yeah. You get a little bit of that creaminess in the flavour as well. Whether there's maybe, I didn't say oats at all in there, did it? It just said barley malt, wheat. Yeah. But whatever they've done, whether it's the yeast that they're using, which is giving it maybe that sort of that creaminess, does have a little bit of that that kind of estery, that sort of Belgian esteriness to it. A little bit of that sweetness could be coming from that. It's maybe, as it's settling, got a slight hint of banana to it as well. So that's kind of sort of what's going on. A very you know, a very easy drinking, a very balanced, but a little bit of complexity to it. Not quite what I was expecting. And I don't think I've ever had a beer from a Hungarian brewer before that at least I have noticed that it's a Hungarian brewer, you know. So yeah, very happy with this. It's very, very pleasant. Really, really easy.
Good.
Aadil.
So I don't know if you can tell, not quite, but there are still some bubbles clinging to the sides off the pour. This poured really carbonated. Yeah. It's been sitting for a while, still, you know, a sliver of head. You get that citra right off the nose. It's not too in your face, but it's there, and it gives you that little bit of that meloniness in the nose as well.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's exactly what you expect with a single hop IPA that's been dry hopped with citra.
Looks super pale, but even with that paleness, it looks super murky as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's hazy. It's not just opaque; it's hazy. It's got this lovely hazy straw. Again, yeah, you're getting those standard citra notes. It'll lighten the citrus, a little bit of tart, but mostly just the sweet citrus coming through. Really thin, which you get because it's session strength. Doesn't linger. The main taste disappears really quickly, but the finish is there. Again, mild mouthfeel, nothing too dry or too wet. Bitterness disappears, I would say, after about 30 seconds. You get a little bit of that sort of citrusy, melony note lingering, but after that, everything's kind of gone because it's super light and it's nice and crisp, and it's got that that nice citra taste. I don't think this is going to last long, especially with not a long finish. It's been a hot day. I can swig this back. I mean, it doesn't taste alcohol-y, but it's also not that alcohol-y. It's 4.3%. So yeah, so you know, session-y, and yeah, it's just nice and crisp, easy to drink. Could have 3 in a row and not notice. Like,
nice, good,
very good.
Yeah. So Lucy,
we'll
come to you in your uncouth can drinking night.
Oh shit,
slumming it.
Sorry, I'm just gonna give you a note of how much I've already accidentally drunk.
Yeah, this can's going down pretty quickly as well. Yeah, there was quite a lot of fruitiness on the nose, and it's a bit more subtle in the flavour. Still getting, you know, those citrusy like flavours, bit of melon, slight bit of lemon. It's got like a almost vinous like quality to it.
Yeah,
that's I don't know if that's because of like leading into the bitterness, just like very subtle fruits and then leading into very subtle bitterness. But yeah, it's really hoppy. So it's like refreshing, just like perfect on a day like this. And the fact that they've only put like 3 hops in it, Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe, you can taste every single one of those hops.
Nice.
Like, and yes, they make a, you know, better than the sum of their parts, but you can still pick out like each individual hop, which is nice. It's not like they've thrown everything into it, so it's simple and it's subtle, and that's what's great about it. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna make a top-notch pale ale that's refreshing, hoppy, a little bit of bitterness, you know, quite a bit of fruit in it. Yeah, it's really enjoying it.
Nice, good.
I wish I had 2 cans.
Are you already regretting the 1 can?
Yeah, but to be fair, other than the 10% beer and a cannonball, this was all I had. So.
What was the 10%? Was that a Wonder
Beyond?
Beyond?
Wonder Beyond beer. Not sure which one, because all of them are like 10, 11%, aren't they? So
yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that out when I'm feeling a bit more brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like super easy, super light. It's only 5.2%, so yeah, perfect for a nice day like this. It's still light outside. It's called dusk.
Yeah. Nice, nice. And is that, you know, are you waiting to
CS map?
What's that? Sorry.
Just slow. Favorite Counter-Strike map.
So Lucy, is your unbrave evening because you're recovering a little bit from the weekend's festivities?
That's a good segue.
Yay.
But no, I'm just trying to because I've been going out like every weekend for like as long as I can remember. It's like I'm just gonna cool it during the week, you know. But so I'm out this Saturday and next Saturday, and then I think going back to work will be good. But I'll probably end up drinking during the week just to cope with work. So
yeah,
it's a catch-22.
It is.
But yes,
it's the summer at the moment, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So you're going to be out all the time. But yes, so our weekend in Birmingham. We won't go into it too much because there's definitely parts of it I don't remember. But just you know, we'll just have a little chat about, you know, the best beers, the ones we can remember, kind of the parts of the evening that we enjoyed, any specific kind of new bars or anything that kind of stood out to us, because we went out in Stirchley. Yeah, and it's very kind of, it's becoming not gentrified. It's not, is it? With a lot of independent sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's modern. It's modern hipster gentrification.
Yes, the other kind of bad gentrification.
It's not Starbucks on every corner. It's a, you know, an independent coffee roaster.
So you'll know it's officially entered that zone when you'll see some places selling kombucha. Which is not, I know, as prevalent here in the UK as it is in North America, but it's only a matter of time.
I'm sure.
So Lucy, as our host for the weekend and as the resident, I'll let you sort of just run down.
And the one who was most coherent by the end.
Who knew what was going on.
I remembered everything that night, which is shocking, to be honest. Shocking.
But just run down sort of, you know, the notable places I think that you took us, and any of the notable beers that you had as well.
So we started off at Cottridge Wines for their birthday, then we went to Bromley Brewery, then we went to the Wildcat, and then we went to Attic, and then we went to Cork and Cage, and then we went to the British Oak, which is a classic English pub.
But we also went to that ramen.
Oh yeah, we had a fair bit of food over the day. Eat Vietnam, which opened that week. So
oh sorry,
that was the opening weekend. Yeah, we had pho and that pork belly. Still having dreams about it, but anyway.
I mean, I do recall that I quite enjoyed the vegetarian.
The shiitake.
Yeah, the shiitake one was really nice, and the fish I had as well was really good.
Time. Yeah, the fish. It was my first time at the Wildcat, which was, they had cask and keg, which I didn't know about. It's like, it's quite full there. Nice people there. You two drop beer on cards.
On a card game,
On a card game, yeah. They'll get sticky eventually. It's
I think
fine.
there was an errant hand that went out to grab a card.
Yeah.
Or something and just, collided.
And that's when it all fell apart. That was the sign.
Yeah.
That was the. But yeah, I think my favourite beer were the Attic ones and the Local Poly one or Polly's that was in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not Attic, the Wildcat, but
Wildcat.
yeah. The Attic beers were really good. Their New England IPA was very good.
I think for me, I'd agree that the Local Poly was Polly's was one of the standout sort of beers of the day. There was I don't think I made a note of it, but there was a stout that I had in Cottage Wines as well. I think it was the last beer I had.
It was,
which was the best beer I had there, I think. But again, it's the one that I didn't make a note of. Made a note of all of the other beers,
except
the two. Yeah, I mean, because we tried to uphold taking a few photos of our beers and things and posting them up to the Instagram and Twitter and things like that. And there is a photo on my album of me. I've obviously turned the camera around and just taken a photo of me holding the beer.
Oh, was that the one?
Put that anywhere?
Wasn't it? No. Wasn't it a porter?
No, it was the porter.
There was a porter and there was a stout as well.
Yeah, so there was the elusive Pershore Party Porter, and then there was the Double Barrel Bubbling Stout. Yeah. The sweet stout with coffee and cacao, right?
That's the one.
The three layers of coffee and cacao. Yeah, I remember that. That one was excellent. It was definitely the standout, I think, at Cottage. Was that mildly? I was less impressed this year than last year.
Yeah,
with their beers.
I remember. Yeah. The Verdant one was very nice, though. I think that was my favourite there.
Yeah. What was that one? Something about stars, maybe.
A few of them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
This is where we should probably have
Unlike stars.
I do have it on
the Verdant Unlike Stars. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing's loading because.
I took a picture of the whiteboard.
Nice.
Flight of the Peach at Attic, Beer for a Living, their New England IPA at Attic was great. The Polly's one was the Equinox El Dorado Pale Ale.
Right.
That was really good.
Nice. I'm glad you two are organised.
Well,
slightly.
The last beer that is on here was Steady Rolling Man at Cork and Cage, and that was definitely not our last beer.
Because
I bought some Cantillon from behind the bar, and I don't remember which one or what it tasted like. So
no, I don't remember that.
No.
I don't think that's a big miss for me too.
And when you're talking about like Cantillon, you should probably know that you're drinking that beer, one of their beers.
Yeah. Yeah. Next time.
Oh, well. Exactly. What happens in Birmingham doesn't stay in Birmingham. It's just fucking.
Yeah, thank God I got my phone back.
Yeah.
If it stayed in Birmingham, I'd be out a couple of £100 having to replace.
Yeah, the Uber driver was very nice.
Good.
Yeah. He only lived 5-minute drive away from me. So
that's just luck.
Yeah.
Nice. Aadil, was there anything sort of stand out for you?
I think we covered them. I wish I remembered the last thing we ate. It sounded delicious, but it was apparently
the curry was really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the pizza, but that was quite nice too.
Oh yeah, I do now.
I do remember the pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get a vegetarian pizza.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
Yeah.
Vegetarian pizzas are the way forward.
They are very good. Like, I have started to go, vegetarian pizza. Like, cauliflower, throw a bit of that on it. Throw a bit of whatever else vegetarians eat.
Well, I'm extremely partial to anchovies on pizza at the moment.
I like anchovies.
But nowhere seems to do them. Nowhere seems to put anchovies on pizza.
They do overpower the pizza, I feel.
You need to have a few. You can't have, like, a standard... Because they're so salty, you want, like, one-ish per slice.
If you pair them with jalapenos...
that makes
a great pizza.
Any pizza with jalapeno. I had pizza, was it yesterday?
I did
It was
too.
also vegetarian. Oh yeah, pizza. But it was just chilies and cheese and I think it was like honey chili oil on it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So good.
So a place right by the Cottam House where the philosophy department is called Beard. They do craft beer and pizza. With like traditional style pizza, like their chef is from Italy and knows how, like the dough is so excellent. But on weekdays from 12 to 4, you can get a 9-inch pizza with 2 of their cheap toppings for £5.
Nice.
And if you spend another 2.5, they'll throw in their deal beer.
Nice.
Means I end up drinking in the middle of the day more often than I normally would.
It's hard to resist, though, right?
But like, chilies and black olives on this like glorious crust. Good amount of cheese. Not too sweet and not too much tomato sauce as the base. Very well done pizzas.
Yeah, the place I went to, the nice young man in there. It's called Pizza Slice, Peacer. Opened up in Moseley. He said that they'd only been open for a week, and they do like New York style pizza. So pay for one slice, it was £3.50, but it's like, oh, this is huge. So it's like, it's probably not as big as like New York style.
I do remember balking at the price of a slice, and then be like, oh, actually, okay,
because I bought 2, and I was like, oh, okay, this is actually a whole pizza now. So so that was very nice. And there's another. There's not wood fired, but there's a really good wood fired pizza in Jewelry Quarter called Otto, and the one that I get, which is vegetarian, it's got like truffle oil on it, and it's the best thing ever. It's so good.
The exquisite vegetarian pizza.
It's like it's got like mushrooms, like wild mushrooms and truffle oil, and it's like the best pizza there.
Nice.
Fungus is good.
Fungi are very, 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 very good. It's like on my no meat days, which I'm trying to do these days, like at least 2 days of the week, which is, it's not difficult or anything, but it's like, like I had meat today, and I don't think I realised that I crave it, because you know when you're eating when you're like drunk and food's the best thing ever. You're hunched over and you're just not paying attention to anything and just eating with your hands. That was me today, and I don't know if that's just because of the lack of meat for like 2 days, but who knows.
Mate,
but
I've had a lack of meat for several months, and it showed with me ordering a lamb curry at the final stop of our night. So
and eating my pork belly,
it just goes out the fucking window sometimes.
But
in years.
But I can't remember. Eating meat's cool. Eating vegetarian stuff is also cool if it's
food
good.
Corner as well.
Well, last week it was gin. Now we're going to.
Nice. I don't know how you could be a vegetarian if there was no such thing as like cheese, mushrooms, and eggs. It'd be impossible. Surely.
No, I mean that's what veganism is, because you can't have the egg.
You can't have eggs when you're a vegetarian.
And when you're a vegan.
You can when you're a veggie, but you can't when you're a vegan.
Oh yeah,
if you're a lacto-ovo.
But they all have different rules. Okay, pescatarian. No, pescatarians.
No, fish, right? Yeah, but lacto-ovo is I can have dairy products and I can have eggs, but you could be just a lacto or just an ovo.
Cool.
I'm just.
Just eat a burger.
Oh man! Speaking of which, next time you're around, I had that seitan fake chicken burger at Cafe Kino that's just around the corner, where we had coffee the other day, Ben.
Yeah,
and that seitan stuff's magic. It tastes like a goddamn crispy chicken burger. It's really good, and you get it with hot sauce on it.
You see, I want to know what is the definition of a burger? Because I don't mind these things, but I get a bit offended when they're called burgers.
Ooh, I've got no idea.
What is
there's no such thing as a strict definition.
No, but
like
if it's
like
like meat
burger,
patty, then that's why I'm going to look at Oxford.
No, but there won't be. That's not how it works. You know this. Language evolves. You know this
stuff as a disc.
I want to find the Oxford, the Cambridge Okay, it says meat or other pressed, other food pressed.
Pressed, right? Not
Into a round,
mashed,
flat
sure.
shape. Well, fair enough.
Okay, so that means
Yeah.
my portobello burgers aren't portobello burgers unless I make sure to squeeze them first, because they're just portobello caps.
Yeah.
You see, I really want to try one of that. It's
Oh,
like just like deep
Portobello
fried
caps are
portobello,
super
but-
easy to make.
Hmm.
You just pan fry them, but the key is to put like some soy sauce and hot sauce, or something like red wine vinegar, just to give a little more taste. And then when you into the fins, and then when you flip it,
Yeah.
all that water ends up boiling into it and cooking through the mushroom.
Oh no.
Nice.
And you flip it one more time, put some cheese if you want, quickly grill. Like, it's the easiest
Yeah.
thing to do. But
You
like,
see-
yeah, my standard is soy sauce, sriracha. You know, pan fry that top with almost no fat. Flip it. You don't even need fat for that. It'll just boil into it, cook through the mushroom, makes a really meaty texture, and diffuses that taste because it's now boiling into the fins.
Yeah. You see, my problem is that sounds great, and I'd probably rather eat that than anything else on this planet. But then when I see,
eggs.
oh, beef, it's like I'll just opt for that one instead. It's the FOMO, I guess, of like, I bet the meat one
fear of
tastes even
meeting out.
better. It's like, I bet the meat one tastes even better.
Oh, but I've had bad
that's the
meat
problem.
before.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we need restaurants to start making subpar meat dishes and quality vegetarian dishes, so people just end up picking the vegetarian.
Yeah, that's what I did at uni. In my first year, it was like catered dorms. Yeah, I was like, the meat dishes are terrible. Just give me the veggie ones. Like their vegetable chicken Kiev. It
Right.
wasn't chicken. It was just that was
A
great.
vegetable Kiev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, the veggie dishes were so much better.
On mass-produced canteen food.
Yeah,
Sticking with vegetables is a safe bet.
yeah.
I love
Because
it.
that's
the
true.
meat stuff was nasty.
Yeah. Right. That's it for our extended food corner, bearing in off of the back of the
Yeah.
Stirchley Beer Mile chat. So we shall move on and come to whatever it is we all brought this week to talk about.
I thought that was my
yeah,
topic.
games. Yeah, I
no,
just
'cause that's
wanted
my
to talk
topic,
about
sorry.
food.
Let's talk about some stuff. Lucy,
Hmm.
I'm going to start with you because you've got beer in your mouth and you're ready to go.
I played the Eternal Castle Remastered, which is that game. I think it came out earlier this year. Was it this year? It must have been. Anyway, I bought it on the Steam sale, and it is a 2D pixelated. It's very like low pixel count. It's like 1-bit or 2-bit or something like that. It's not even 8-bit art style, and it's pretty much a narrative. What? I guess you could call it narrative side scroller. It's very much in the vein of like Flashback or Another World, and
Yeah.
you've crash landed on your spaceship on this foreign planet, and you just start beating up the locals for no discernible reason. I think there's some kind of plot. The text is very hard to read. I don't know if it was like a design choice or something like that, but the text is like pixelated, and it's very hard to read. So like that opening like sequence of like, you know, the text scrolling and stuff like that, like Star Wars or something like that, it's very hard to read. I was like, I can't read this, I'm just going to skip over it. It was like
Really?
on a black background with white writing, which is easier for my eyes, but it was like I couldn't make out the characters. It would have
Right.
taken me like 20 minutes to read it. I was like, okay, whatever. But
Oh.
I'm sure there's a narrative and a mystery for people who are really into this game, like would want to like uncover and stuff like that. But for me, I was just like, just get me into the gameplay. And it's not really loaded with narrative or anything like that. So you can just start playing. But yeah, it's seen on a 2D plane, side scroller. There's a bit of combat, like going in and out of cover, shooting, using melee weapons to just beat up the locals for it again. Don't know why, but yeah, and you go in to like these three. It's like 3 chapters, 3 distinct areas, and just side scrolling until you like pick up this like fuel chip for your ship to eventually get off the planet. And it's very much in the vein of like Flashback and Out of This World, like games that were, you know, in the 90s, like late 80s, where it's the controls are not that good. It's like, and I think that's a purposeful design decision to evoke those old games, and that's fine and all. It's like, yeah, it's, you know, you're having to stop before you jump, and then you're running, and you have to like make sure you know, press the button, or you know, I guess space bar in advance before you're jumping over a you know ravine or something like that. So that action does happen in time. It's very much animation over than you know, which gameplay.
It's one of the points I was going to ask about, whether it has that sort of awkward animation to everything, and that sort of that slight delay to kind of what you're doing. And I mean, it's sort of the thing that popped to my mind as soon as you'd said that the text was really hard to read. And obviously this is a game trying to ape that early 90s kind of aesthetic and feel.
And
but it sounds like they've taken it. You know, they have aped that to as precisely as they possibly can.
Yeah, and it's like, on one side I have to respect that. It's like, because people dig this game. I think it's got like mostly positive reviews on Steam, and like the whole ad campaign for this game was, they were pretending that this game never came out.
That they found it, right?
Yeah, that's why it's called Remastered, when it's like a brand new game. So yeah, it's like, I really respect that, and to be fair, they do counteract that, like, you know, bit dodgy gameplay. Like sometimes when, you know, like trying to fist fight with people, it's like, is this connecting? I got knocked down. It's taking more frames than I want to get up. The animation's happening, and then, you know, to, you know, get back into the combat and stuff like that. But they space the levels out, which are only probably about half an hour each. With quite generous checkpoints. It only got annoying towards the ending, like when you're fighting like the final boss, and it's like they made it more difficult than it needed to be, and it's like, and putting like new mechanics in right at the end, which is just a pet peeve of mine. It's like, you're just throwing this in at the very end, at the very last boss. That's when they should have realized, okay, our controls are not very responsive. You know, purposefully, maybe we shouldn't make this as punishing. And there was a scene where you're like running away, like Temple of Lost Ark style, from like the big boulder. Yeah. Like, you're running on a 2D, like...
That's Temple of Doom, isn't it? It's the beginning of Temple of Doom, right?
Is it the start of Temple of Doom?
Yeah, because he does the sandbag idol swap.
Oh, that's Temple of Doom,
not Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then he runs back, and then that guy's like, I will take that because I've paid the natives, and then I'll steal this thing anyway.
That's actually my favourite of the 3.
It's fair.
Much to people's chagrin, but yeah, that's my favourite.
Well, who's chagrining that?
People say like that's the worst one. We're not counting the Shia LaBeouf one, but
well, no, that one doesn't.
People say it's the worst out of the.
I mean, I really like Last Crusade, but it's definitely not the better of those two.
I prefer Temple of Doom out of all of them, and then
Raiders
Ark, and then
weird beast as well. No, I mean,
I really like the opening of Last Crusade. Anyway.
Just on a very slight tangent, I love the Temple of Doom just because it gave me the excuse to chase my brother around, just shouting Kale Mar at him and trying to just ram my hand into his chest when we were children. Hours of fun from that film.
Extremely
the Lego set with the chase scene from Last Crusade that came with Indiana Jones and his dad was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Like the space between when those, like the earlier movie sets weren't as great, but it was they got the right tenor of the vehicles, and so like the other ones were much more playset oriented, and of course you didn't have built the entire cave, so it was like the skeleton of this scene didn't really evoke things, but with the car chase, obviously that works a lot better.
I could go into the lore and minutiae of those films ad nauseum, but now's not the time.
No.
Anyway,
Lucy, I'm going to interject
a
little bit with the Eternal Castle, because I'm going to bring up the thing we kind of did a little while ago with the whole bad reviews thing.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
segue.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Because obviously you're there's a few things that you've already raised, but kind of a few things that I'm seeing on the bad reviews are things like almost like cheap deaths, where you jump off of a ledge not really knowing what's below you and having to very carefully land, and then having to start quite far back.
I think there are like
checkpointing very well.
Yeah, because as soon as you hit a checkpoint, sometimes it will because you sit down and meditate at these checkpoints, it will automatically do that for you as soon as you cross a checkpoint. But there are some diverging paths, so you might miss checkpoint. I went on the critical path, but if you want to get all the collectibles and stuff like that, you might miss them. So I can see why that would be an issue. And yes, there are I fell into a pit of spikes. It is very Prince of Persia like that, but that's the thing with the art style. It's sometimes you can't see what you're meant to be doing, but the art style is very cool at the same time. So it's it works both to its favor of being very distinct looking. And it's like, oh, what's that game? And at the same time, detracting from the gameplay experience. So yeah, it's a catch-22 with the art style. Yeah, it's, as I say, it's like, you know what you're getting into when you're playing this game, hopefully, that it is going to be like, oh, we are evoking that early 90s gameplay style. It's rough. And you're just here for the adventure, the storytelling, hopefully, and stuff. But yeah, if you're coming to this game for a smooth gameplay experience, you're not going to get that.
No.
Not at all. Yeah. I knew that going in. That's why I got it. Because it's
how long did it take you to... have you finished it, did you say?
Yeah. It took me...
How long did it take you?
Hour and a half, 2 hours. Around there.
Do you think it could have been, much quicker? Did you have a lot of cheap deaths and things? Yeah,
there was one part with... That's what I was talking about, Temple of Doom, where you're running away from the boulder. And it's like, you're waiting for the camera to catch up with you, who's ahead, and it's like, oh no, it's still lingering on the boulder, it's not letting me see ahead. And as I said, you have to time the jumps. You have to be running, and then, button press, I'm going to jump now. It isn't like, you need that momentum. And it's like, I can't get any momentum because I'm literally at the edge of the screen, and I'm waiting for the camera to catch up. So that bit was... Had to do that 10 times over, and it was so annoying.
Really, it wants you to be
it wants you to see
a
the
certain
action.
amount of pixels in front of that boulder rather than at the edge of the screen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't limit you in a way enough through the animations and stuff to stop you, to give you that distance and the same movement speed to allow that time before sort of thing.
That sounds exactly like it might have been designed in that shitty way, because those earlier games... when early platformers went from the screen moves with you to, you hit a certain edge of the screen and then it starts scrolling, to we've got a dynamic scene going, and so the camera's going to go and you have to catch up. You're almost always, those early games, you were getting fucked by that camera, that lack of perspective all the time. And the problem with this is, was this bad game design or was this purposeful homage? It still sucks. Does it matter?
Yeah, for sure. That was the part that angered me the most, other than the last boss, which is just anyway.
Was it just not enthusing, or was it cheap? You don't have to spoil anything, but you can say the
last boss. It was. It was the one they put in this puzzle mechanic, which hadn't been throughout the entire game, and it was on a timer, and it was just and because of the art style as well, it was like having an epileptic fit whilst trying to figure something out, and it's
that's shit.
Yeah, but if you're if you want that flashback, another world like kind of experience, like I played something on Switch. I'm gonna have to find out the name of it whilst you lot are talking, but it was exactly that start, and the gameplay was rough, and like I just maybe it's just me being nostalgic this year and playing old games and stuff like that. And this fit into that mold.
Another World got a remaster in the last couple of years as well, didn't it?
As did Flashback, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably just... That's why people are probably so fond of it. They just want experiences like that, but people obviously don't make experiences like that because the gameplay sucks. And it's like, we can't sell a game
it's also,
on the basis that the gameplay sucks.
It's also... It's easier to accept a remaster being clunky because you're kind of buying it for nostalgia anyway.
True.
But like when it's a brand new game, you're like, okay, give me some quality of life. Like, you have the opportunity. Why are you making this bad?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's good. It's like some people want that pain by playing Dark Souls, or that pain from playing the Eternal Castle Remastered. So, yeah.
So I played recommended if people were
if you know what you're getting in for, and it's like, this is probably not the game I'd recommend. I will find the name of that game. That is probably a much better substitute, because I think it's always on sale on Switch, which is where I got it, and it's like you saw it in like the charts every time it goes on sale, and people enjoy it. You know, people like it, and I think they said that, oh, we had a really good like sales milestone, like we sold 300,000 copies or something just from being on Switch, and it's like, goddamn, yeah. The cool. Way Remastered. So I think it was just originally called The Way. I think they like made some gameplay tweets, but yeah, The Way Remastered.
It's published by PC. Fastball?
I don't know. Is that a joke? Was that a joke? Okay. It's made by.
Do you not remember the song "The Way" by Fastball from the late '90s?
Maybe if you played it, I'd recognize it, but
is it some kind of garage track or?
It's like, oh man, how to describe it? It's like 90s. You had Eagle Eye Cherry and like Save Tonight. It came out like almost the same time. To the point where people forgot which was which.
Oh yeah, look, people saying, oh yeah, it's $3. Oh, this is the best $3 I've spent on a game. The Way Remastered, and obviously it didn't review well because critics have to be critics. It's like this doesn't play too well, but yeah, it's yeah.
I mean, if you can save your money and you don't want this kind of experience sort of straight away, there's a game coming out called Blasphemous, which is that kind of like gory pixel art kind of experience. I think it's a 2D side scroller, which is very much that kind of Dark Souls-esque kind of game, essentially very gothic in nature, medieval in nature sort of thing. In its aesthetic, big bosses that you kind of come up against, a hack and slash kind of thing, you know, with a few like execution animations and stuff, is looking superb. That might give you a similar kind of vibe in its sort of platforminess, hack and slashy kind of gameplay to it, but something that's looking quite polished, at least visually, and from the sort of the animations and things that I have seen, it does look very fluid. Yeah. So yeah, that might be one to hold out for.
Yeah. The Way on Steam, it says experience an adventure inspired by old school classics like A Novel World, Heart of Darkness, and Flashback. So yeah, if you're looking for that, yeah. Nice. I played Alan Wake. I don't know if you want to hear about that later.
Oh yes, we'll do that later. Aadil, you're showing us the album cover or the single cover, or whatever their thumbnail is.
The Way Fastball.
Not a clue what that is. Don't know. Okay.
I'd play it, but it would sound so shitty, and we've already tangented enough. So.
And it would block out the sound, wouldn't it? Discord anyway.
Yeah, Discord would probably just
to the neck of that. I'll just go on my own phone and listen to it.
Excellent.
I'm going to open a beer then, whilst we're doing that, because I'm ready for another beer. Lucy, you said you're only on the one this week, so it's you and I, Aadil, with our second beers for the evening. So I'm going to drink another beer from the Beer 52 box. And this one is from Croatia and the Garden Brewery.
Oh, they're great.
It is, I had a peanut butter stout from them the other night, and it was quite nice. Like one of the only ones I've drunk from this box so far, and it was nice. This one is the New England IPA 05, and the flavour text says it's hazy and yellow with tropical notes of citrus and lychee. It's 5.5%. It does give me the ingredients. They are the malts of Marisotta, lager, torrefied wheat, golden naked oats, and oats. The hops, there's loads of them, are Acuanot, Citra, Huell Melon, Mandarina Bavaria, and TNT.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Explosives.
not one I've ever had. The yeast is NEIPA, N-E-I-P-A.
There's a NEIPA yeast?
Yeah, so this suggests. And then just adjuncts, lactose.
Oh, it's lactose in there.
Yeah. So with all those oats and the lactose in there, I expect something very smooth.
Yeah. I think the first time I had one of their beers was in the Beer 52 box, and I was just like so on it. But when I had it on draft, I think at this year's Taps Festival, I was like, oh my god, this is so nice.
Really?
Amazing, yeah.
Nice.
So let's all go to Croatia and drink it fresh.
Yeah.
I've been there a couple times in my life. I love that place. It's great.
Rather than Birmingham next year, we'll go to Croatia instead. We'll start saving up for it.
Yeah. Had a weird night there.
Yeah. Yeah. Aadil, what are you drinking?
I am drinking from Brick Brewery, a Manhattan Sour.
Oh.
So, styled on the classic cocktail, this Manhattan Sour blends sweet cherry with a dash of bitter orange, cinnamon, and ginger to create a warmth alongside rich, sweet, and fruity notes from aging on cherry wood. This dark sour harnesses the classic recipe made famous by New York speakeasies. And it has barley, wheat, hops, yeast, sweet cherry, orange zest, cinnamon, and ginger. So it is what it says on the tin. It's 5.6%. It's got this lovely... Brick has these like tessellating sort of abstract patterny cans. That's a word.
Can you imagine if it was a tin, you had to get an opener and take it off every single time?
That aluminium vessel. Let's call it that.
Yeah. That's probably why they used bottles instead.
Well, I started pouring. Had to stop pouring.
Yeah, I had a little bit of that with mine as well. Not quite as much as yours, but I got a little bit of head going on with mine.
Yeah, from the Garden Brewery, the Milkshake IPA was the one I had at the festival. That was very good. I've had the Pale Ale, the Citrus IPA, the Stout. Yeah, they're decent, but
nice.
I think fresh is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Well, from this one then, as you try to pour and get rid of that head, Aadil, this does say on it, it's a New England IPA 05, and underneath the Garden Brewery it says an evolving New England IPA series. So I assume that it's number 5 within the series that they're doing. So it'll be interesting to see what the other ones were. But on the nose, getting a lot of that citrus, sort of straight off. And you are getting a little bit of kind of almost biscuity, malty sort of sweetness on the nose as well, sort of matching up with that citrus quite nicely.
By the way, Aadil, I've never heard of that song, The Way. Never.
Really? Maybe it was just in North America. Fuck it. Yeah. Fastball might be Canadian.
Maybe it reached number 39 in the top 40 over here. Number 1 in Canada.
Number 41.
Yeah, because just looking at like old, like I can't remember which website I was on. It was just like, oh, that was number 1 in like Finland and Canada. It was always Canada who likes weird.
I mean, so they're from Austin, Texas. So they're an American band, but it's a bit of a roll of the dice on what gets big in North America. Like, if it's American and it was popular in Canada, it was popular in America, right? Yeah. Maybe not vice versa with Canadian bands, but bit of a crapshoot when it comes to crossing the pond. I will say this about the Manhattan Sour. The head dissipates real quick.
Nice.
I already poured a little more. You get that.
Looks like blackcurrant juice.
Yeah, kind of. It's a little more brown than purple.
Like
in my light. But you get that color tinge in the head. I guess it's hard to tell with the yellow light. But it's like a little brownie, a little purpley in the head as well.
Just off white, yeah.
Nice. Who's gonna? Are you gonna describe what you've just tasted?
Sure. It is.
Face.
The first thing that happens is you taste it, and it kind of reminds you of cough syrup.
Oh.
So I think the alcohol and the cherry coming together at first was like, oh dear, this is artificial cherry tasting. But the orange and the sweetness of the cherry sort of come in a little after that initial taste. So basically the tartness of the sour hits right away and then fades, and then that lets the other flavors come through. And it's it gives a lot more depth can come through. So it definitely doesn't taste artificial. You get a little I'm actually surprised that the malts are coming through and they're helping balance everything out. Mostly the orange zest is giving like a very bitter citrus. I'm not really tasting the cinnamon or ginger. I think it's mostly on the very end of the finish. I noticed there's just a bit of a spiciness, but I suspect that they're balancing everything out. And so I would say your first taste of this is not going to be the standard taste, like just because your mouth needs to get used to that sour, and then when that happens, it allows everything else to come through. But because it's such a initial first hit, especially coming off of, that really light NEPA, that was session strength. I'm digging it. I mean, I don't drink Manhattans very often. I can't remember what the operative alcohol is, but the one thing I will say is it's not evoking a cocktail from me, because I think the alcohol is sort of mixing really well with the other ingredients. It doesn't taste like an alcoholic drink with these other flavors. It kind of tastes like, except for the tartness, just sort of these other flavors doing interesting things. So like if you were looking for a Manhattan, from what I recall Manhattan's tasting, this isn't going to be like clearly a Manhattan. I think it's more inspired by than like a direct, we're trying to make a beer that tastes like Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's not. It's no mojito.
The mojito. It's a tasty fucking drink.
Which we chatted about, but I assume it hasn't gone up yet.
No, I forgot that Lucy sent it to me and did nothing with the sound file.
I forgot that I had
it. At some point next week, there'll be a little bonus episode about what we drank. Briefly in Birmingham, yes. Nice. So, this New England IPA.
Yeah, I was say you had a thing.
Yes. The flavour does match up quite well with the nose, getting a lot of citrus. I mean, I wouldn't be able to pick out lychee normally, but it comes through quite strongly here. Only sort of married up with a bit of citrus, and then the malts kind of pushing through a little bit later. The lychee does kick through. It gives you this kind of this very slight bitterness to it. But that's only very, very slight. And then the maltiness kind of kicks in. There's a little bit of sweetness in there as well. A little bit of kind of almost a resurgence in the body. You start to feel a little bit of that texture almost a little bit later. It's kind of quite a nice, quick, light kind of initial kind of sip, but then it starts to feel a little heavier kind of as it sits in your mouth. not getting a huge amount of like the style from this, from New England IPAs as a style, really. I mean, it's not kind of like a big fruity flavour. There's just this this bit of a dull sort of bitterness to it, really. More so coming from like the lychee kind of flavour than maybe anything else. I mean, it's perfectly serviceable and an easy kind of beer, but it's just sort of a bit like, yeah, okay, this is fine. I don't think I'd reach for it again.
So they've put actual lychees in it.
It didn't say.
Was it a note or
they had or not? So the note said tropical notes of citrus and lychee.
Okay,
but the ingredients didn't.
I'd never heard a beer who had lychee in. That's why I was wondering. It's like, I so often get that like lychee flavour though from beers that are like IPAs, double IPA, things that are going for that noticeably citrus and tropical flavours.
I think the only thing that sort of points it out, really, I mean, obviously it tells me on the front, but it is that kind of the way that the citrus kicks in, and then there is that dull like bitterness that still remains a little bit kind of. It's still got this slight sweetness to it, but it just drops down that level, and the bitterness kind of kicks in just a bit. That kind of signifies that that it is there.
Maybe that little bit of creaminess or something.
Yeah, and it does have a it does have a slight creaminess to it, but again, is that kind of what a lot of the oats are doing, what the lactose is doing to it as well.
Maybe it's
no idea what TNT is hop wise and what's going on there. So yeah, that's that beer.
So I did quickly check. So Manhattan is rye with a bit of sweet vermouth and then some bitters.
Okay. I've never had a Manhattan.
Yeah,
I don't drink cocktails really.
Yeah,
so.
But yeah, so I just would like to say, there's definitely not enough maltiness going on to really evoke that rye with that hearty rye whiskey.
Unless it's a Long Island iced tea, because it has all the alcohols, and that was the only thing I drank.
All of them.
Yeah, it doesn't have like vodka, like some other crap. all that stuff. Vodka, rum. Maybe gin, I don't know. But is a White Russian a cocktail?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I like black and white Russians.
Yeah, a Long Island iced tea has vodka, tequila, light rum, triple sec gin, and a splash of cola.
Oh, there you go. And that's why that's why it was like, oh, it's 2-for-1 cocktails. It's like, I don't drink cocktails. I will drink this Long Island iced tea, so I'm drunk.
I mean, the thing is, it's still just the same amount of alcohol as like another cocktail.
They're too sweet. That's what I don't like about cocktails. Not that bitter.
High balls over cocktails is always me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm much
straight whiskeys over highballs. It's just like,
that's why we had the straight vodka.
No, that was bad though.
Vodka's just
it was disgusting. I hate vodka.
Why did you do it to us?
Well, you can tell what state of mind I was in by then when I started ordering the straight liquor. That's when Lucy needs to go home.
But we didn't. We went elsewhere.
No.
But
we
so
the paneer,
you did, yeah.
The side paneer was very nice.
Let's talk about some more topics and things. Aadil, I'm going to come to you.
So I thought we sort of mentioned it briefly on our Discord, but the what the fuck are they called? Molson Coors just bought out Hop Stuff from London, and yeah, we know that happens. We've talked about takeovers a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the Sleeman/Sapporo takeover of Wild Rose in Calgary.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, and I thought was worth talking about this time round, was that Hop Stuff in 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, did a crowd investing drive and raised Oh God, how much money was it? They raised just shy of £750,000. But the way that, their business still ended up was on the verge of collapsing. They would have had to, like, they were about to go into arrears, and so Molson Coors have stepped in and bought them out. But because it's that type of buyout, it means they had to sell basically everything lock, stock, and so there's none of that money from Molson Coors is going to the investors.
Was it one of those crowdfunding platforms where, yes, I have a stake in this company now?
Yeah, so this is the key. Yeah, so this wasn't like a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
A Kickstarter. Just help us make a brewery, and then we'll give you a goal. You can buy a free beer. This was crowd investing.
Right.
So this is the same type of thing that BrewDog is doing right now, right? They're trying to sell shares in BrewDog to the public to keep the money coming in.
Yeah, the equity for punks or whatever.
Yeah. So crowdfunding investing is basically not, instead of doing things as like, because you're not big like the stock market where you can do initial public offering and all the red tape that it requires to be on stock exchange, things you wouldn't want to do anyway. It's like, why don't we use the Kickstarter type model to just sell shares in our company to whoever we can get, and maybe that will mean I'll earn enough money through that to keep going, and then people have a stake in the company, and so theoretically that means they could sell their stake in the same way you can sell a stock regularly. That's not what happened here. Because Molson Coors, actually, I don't know if they're more Molson than Coors. I think they are. I think they're still Canadian. I think Molson being the Canadian one. Their biggest brand being Molson Canadian.
There must have been some fine print in this crowdfunding, and investing in that thing where it's like, subset like B paragraph C D I. If we get bought out,
I mean, it is an investment, isn't it? So there is always that risk that you're never going to get anything back from it. And had they have just gone into administration,
they would have got nothing.
Those investors would not have got anything back from it. And which is kind of, and whether they did start the paperwork for administration and were bought out, whether it's kind of like a fire sale type thing, like, oh shit, we just need someone to come jump in and kind of invest. So it's a difficult one to kind of I say it's difficult to justify, but I mean it's one where I would always think that people that have invested should kind of be remunerated for what they'd invested in the first instance. Normally when you go into arrears and you go into administration and you're bought out, the people that you owe money to are paid off.
But this is different. So owning
so yes, it is different. Yes,
because the people you owe money to are the people who you like bought hops from or pay rent to, etc. The investors or the shareholders, they get a share of the profits, etc. There weren't profits, right? So like if they'd gone in arrears, there's no money for the shareholders no matter what, right? I think that's what you're trying to say. I just wanted to clear it up. So yeah, he said basically Jeff Yeomans, who was the CEO, said that a full sale of the shareholding was commercially unviable. Basically no one would buy it based on the number of outstanding share prices. And he was, I'm so sorry, I wanted so much to turn the passion you have for Hop Stuff Brewery into a financial win for you, and I'm absolutely gutted that hasn't happened. I would completely understand if you wanted to wash your hands of us, but I very much hope you don't. And Molson's basically said in their press release that they're recognizing Hop Stuff team, which had a real shared value and any thoughts on craft beer, and it would be a shame to see that disappear.
Standard big boy chat. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've had a few beers from Hop Stuff. They put beers out in Tesco.
That's how
I would imagine that's why Molson Coors have picked them up, because of their distribution and that they're already in a supermarket and they can just get more of their fingers. They've currently got like 3 fingers in the supermarket pie. Now they can get 5 fingers and making fucking starfish all over the place in the supermarkets.
I think we just found a category on Ben's Pornhub.
Starfish.
But it's
also
kind of,
a Canadian company.
Hey.
Yeah, as we learned a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, everything I've had from Hop Stuff, I've not really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I've never kind of had a beer that I've ever wanted to kind of comment on, really.
They're usually collaborating with other breweries.
They do, yeah, a lot. And there's been like one with North. There's been one with Unbarred. That's another point I want to talk about with Unbarred as well. But if do you guys have sort of like initial thoughts on this?
I have a GCSE in business, and I'm. I have an A level in business.
I barely know what those things are.
Yeah, it I think I was happy for Hop Stuff because it's like, yes, people can continue having jobs, do what they're passionate about and stuff like that. I didn't know the crowdfunding thing until you actually spoke about it today. I'd only read half the story clearly, and that sucks. But as Ben said, it's like there's always risk, in anything like this. So it's like even Kickstarter. Yeah. You're not getting any shares or anything like that. Sometimes you're not even getting the product that you were promised. So there's always risk. I think people, as long as there's enough clarification on however they advertise this, obviously they would not think, oh yeah, we're going to get bought out in 2 years after we're almost going to go into administration. Obviously that's not something, but hopefully in the small fine print of any agreement that was signed, that was done, that was a caveat, and people knew the risk. It's up to people who are investing money to go find that information out. You can't be mad retroactively because you didn't know about this. Like, research it.
We're slowly starting to see crowdfunding by some people, at least, starting to be more discerning. Yes. And one of the things with crowd investing was it came up precisely because it was supposed to be more secure. Right, because you're not just raising money for a business. You're not just paying someone to run their business shoddily. You're buying into their shoddy business. And I say that like tongue-in-cheek, but like you have to consider. They've been around a while and their business is failing. So buying shares in their business is buying shares in a failing business. So unless they have a plan on how this cash injection won't just be temporary, like just like any investment, like it's no different. And I don't mean that in the sense of other stocks, other companies. I mean buying a used car. All these things, like you have to do your due diligence, and if you don't get what it's doing or how it works, maybe don't do it. I'm sad that people got like burned in this really weird niche way, but I hope that these types of situations will remind people that like using your money in these ways and like just giving it to people, it means you're just giving it to people and hoping that it'll work.
Yeah, and
like there's a reason why crowdfunding for products never existed in the past, and part of it was because small people couldn't make things because we had factory costs. Now we have on-demand things with China and whatever. But another part is like you want the stability of a company. That's the reason why like IBM and GE in the 50s through 70s just bought up a bunch of small companies for their patents so they could actually produce it. It's tough though, like, because that is a platform now, and people have found success on it. I think. I just want a grain of salt there. It'd be incredibly hard as a business, as a company, to be like, okay, we're definitely not going to get a loan from the bank point, but we know that we have enough of a following community where it's like, oh, we'll be set if we go straight to the public. So in some ways,
it is weird when you think about it. Yeah, because this didn't exist like 10 years ago. So
I mean, to sort of draw a parallel between like games and beer, like investment into breweries and things, it's investment on this sort of scale has been around for maybe 4 or 5 years now, roughly. On a on the scale that it currently is. In breweries, it's a lot less than it is within games. you know, we get a lot of kickstarted games. We get a lot of you know, developers who have like things like Patreon and stuff like that. Whereas brewers are, I don't know, just a little bit, maybe not reluctant as such, but it doesn't really seem to figure into into their avenue of funding.
Well, Patreon is like artist service based, right? Sorry.
Yes, yeah, and I think, you know, and again, a big difference is that, you know, you can invest in this game and it will come out in 12 months' time. You invest in this brewery, you'd imagine that they're putting products out in sort of 2-3 weeks' time. You know, there's a very quick turnaround on things like that as well, to start generating and building on your investment in quite a quick sort of time frame, versus maybe a game which is still 2 years out type thing. So
I fully agree with that.
The scale between the two industries is slightly different, but you know, as we've said, it is an investment. That is what it is. And as Lucy was mentioning, as long as it's kind of spout out to people and they know the risks, hopefully there's not a load of people who, you know, Hop Stuff was the only thing they've ever invested in, and they went, oh, I've got $1,000, I'll just invest it in this brewery I really like.
Yeah,
you know,
well, I think that
like it to be a considered choice for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the big thing I was trying to say isn't don't do this, or this is clearly a bad platform, but like, yeah, like you were saying, like you have to treat it as an investment, and you have to ask, why are they in this position of moving to crowdsourcing? Because that is more variable, and so there's a business position involved with that, and you should just appreciate that. And it could be, yeah, I can get a loan from the bank for 20 grand, but I think I could get fellow investors for 50, and I could scale differently. That's fine, right? Just figure that out. Ask those questions. Do that due diligence. Don't throw your money at a thing because you like it.
Yeah.
I do that all the time, though.
But like, so I guess the difference is investing versus buying their beer is a different thing, right? Like supporting a business by buying their product versus supporting a business by giving their money for their day-to-day operations in exchange for ownership of part of the company is a way more dangerous thing if you care about that exchange.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just give them money.
Yeah, just send it in an envelope.
Just you know, just realize that it is just a cost that you have incurred, and you may never get anything back from that.
Yep.
Because you want to go to the shop and continue to buy the beers that they produce. But so one of the things one of the instant thing that I thought about this was that with that big Tesco expansion with their beers, Unbarred had started putting beers into Tesco, and actually the beers that I'd had from them were brewed at Hop Stuff's brewery.
Okay.
So I'd be interested to see how this affects Unbarred.
They'll get bought by Molson Coors. It's fine.
No, I don't think they will. I think they'll get squeezed out.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think they'll get squeezed out. Yeah.
They'll collaborate with somebody else.
Well, they will, but they'll lose that presence in like Tesco.
Yeah.
They won't be able to produce what they had. Whether there's then financial penalties to them for not being able to produce, you know, what they've got through their contract with someone like Tesco's or something like that, would then have to be taken into consideration. You know, there may be some big impacts on them that just isn't, you know, being reported currently, isn't being discussed currently, that I would be a little bit worried about.
I had some Bard beers a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and they are really good. And whether as a I don't know whether Unbarred would have been an investor, whether they were paying for the space, you know, what the arrangement was with someone like Hop Stuff to produce the beers, whether they were just giving them recipes and it was being named as Unbarred beers kind of thing. You know, whatever that relationship is, hopefully they were considered within all of this.
The deal,
yeah. You know, not and just how it impacts them essentially.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. Like Hop Stuff, as you say, I think it's probably because they're a known brand at this point. They're obviously in trouble, so it's not going to be that much. It's not like they're handing over millions Molson Coors and they're all rich suddenly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's because they're like, this seems like they've got the infrastructure of being in, a high street brand. People that people can recognise. It's like, small investment. Let's get them on board. So,
yeah.
But I am happy for the people who work there, and it's like, like looking on the brink of extinction, like, and having this hand just reach out from the clouds. It's like that's got to be a relief for all of them. Yeah.
Very much. Yeah. Yeah. Very much. I suppose that's a much nicer point to finish on.
Yeah.
Than my point of be like, oh, how are these people affected? Like, it's nice that people have retained their jobs, and hopefully there isn't any kind of scaling back for those guys. They're not moving forward with 75-60% of their workforce or something like that. It's just a buyout for them to just be able to move forward as they are.
I was like, I doubt it's that, just because I don't think Molson Coors I haven't looked into it, but they don't have a huge presence in the UK. I know they bought a cider company earlier in the past few years. Yeah, but like, there's no reason to downsize because you don't have they don't have the presence yet.
Yeah,
it's the next two companies they buy out that will feel the hits, right?
Completely, yeah. And it's interesting because Coors must be one of the most advertised beers in the UK, next to something like Heineken and Foster's. Like, see Coors adverts all over the place.
I don't actually see it in very many bars, but also I guess I don't go to the right time.
It's not bars. It's like bus stops and TV ads.
No. I mean, I don't actually see it on tap.
Oh no, not well.
But it might be because I don't go to random places.
No, Coors.
I see Foster's, but I don't see Coors.
No, I usually just see the bottles.
I mean, so there's bottles. I see it on tap a little bit.
I see it on tap,
it depends who it's distributed by, doesn't it? And whoever the pub that you've gone into is owned by and is able to buy beer. I think it's because the pubs I go to,
they have stuff that doesn't taste disgusting.
Because otherwise, why am I going? And if you're going to get a mainstream beer, you're not going to pick Coors first.
Absolutely not. That and Budweiser, absolutely not. I'd rather have a Carling any day.
Oh, for
any goddamn day than a Budweiser or a Coors.
I think I'm buying a Beck's before any of them.
Yeah. I'll just buy a Cobra.
Or a San Miguel. I'm probably buying a San Miguel or an Estrella before any of them, to be fair.
Yeah, Estrella.
I'll just stick with me Carling. There's something
Your black
familiar
label.
about it.
Done.
Yeah.
So I haven't worn these shorts in a number of days, but there's a lollipop stick in my back pocket.
I like that.
Did you go to the dentist?
You can stick it in, pretend you're like Kojak all the time. No one knows there's no lollipop on the end.
Yeah, right. I don't know where this is from. I should probably not have put it in my mouth, actually.
Just picked it up off the street.
And then put it in my back pocket? This is so strange.
But when you had
I think I need to reevaluate how I run my life.
We all need to reevaluate.
That's
right. Anyway. But yeah, so I think it should be a warning to people that influxes of cash don't save companies.
Yeah.
Right? If no matter what field you're in, if you get a bunch of money but don't change your practices, you're just on a clock, right?
Yeah.
Completely.
And that sounds like what happened here. I mean, I don't know. I didn't look at the books. Maybe other things impacted them, but it really sounds like, hey, we're in a tough joint. Oh, cool. We got £750,000. Oh, that wasn't enough for us to do our thing.
Now that it's in the Molson Coors portfolio, there'll be people watching them.
Oh yeah, so this, so I'd be surprised if, so it's because they didn't do a full corporate buyout such that they had to pay out shareholders. They can basically do whatever they want because they're buying goods, not business. So I don't know how it works here, but I assume that's the move that short-circuited the shareholders. At least that's how it would be in North America. But because of that, it means they've got a lot of basically carte blanche to do whatever they want, right? because the existing structure just died.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, they're going to start bringing in bulk bought, ingredients and those sorts of things. I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's going to essentially change recipes.
Mm.
And
I mean, I don't think they actually will change the recipes.
They're
I
going
actually
to
think
change
they're
their
going to
name
fire.
from Hop Stuff to Stuff Your Hops.
So
Stuff them.
if
Don't want them.
Stuff and hops.
if Hop Stuff has
stuff 'em.
a social
Don't
media
want any
manager,
taste or flavor in this beer
Yeah.
anymore.
if Hop Stuff has a social media manager, that person's getting fired. If like the marketing PR stuff that Molson can get people who don't need to be on the ground.
Yeah,
that's sort of the dangerous jobs to lose. But like, if I was Molson Coors, I would watch them for like a few months, figure out what's going on, and then do your big moves. So I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon, including with like Unbarred or anyone else. It's this 6-month timeline that.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Good. Let's move on to our final topic then.
Pivot.
And I kind of I want to talk around the idea of taking a break from games, but then not taking a break from games at all. And
I'm good at the former, bad at the latter.
So last week I wrote and put up on Out of Lives how we don't really ever consider taking a big break from games and gaming. You didn't consider that. It just kind of just naturally sort of happened, and you drifted away. We never really kind of think to ourselves, actually, I'm not in a great place at the moment, or there's a lot of stuff
enjoying
going
it,
on, I'm not enjoying it, I need something else. And partly I was thinking about this because Corey, MC Fixer, has had a bit of a change in circumstance, and whilst he's not stopped playing games and he's still making videos and things, he has had to shift what he's doing. He's not able to stream as much as he had done, and he wanted to take a little bit of a break as well, just to be able to deal with a couple of things himself.
Just don't play Rage 2. That's what broke him. It broke him.
But it kind of it initially got me thinking around the idea that we don't ever kind of really consider the idea that that this entertainment product or games and all this stuff that we've immersed ourselves in, that we kind of need a break from this sometimes. And I went into the start of last week very much not having really loads of stuff that I could play, that I had at my disposal, but I didn't really want to play anything. And I thought to myself, I'm fine with just not engaging with any of this, and I'm okay with just having that break. And I don't think I've ever kind of felt that way before. Every time that I've had a break, it's always been like, oh, I need to find something else to play. I need to sort of snap out of this. We talked about the gaming funk before, and those various games that kind of move you on from playing maybe a bigger experience, or having open world fatigue, or whatever you kind of have. And I'm thinking at the start of the week, I just don't need to play anything. And then the start of this week, I found myself thinking, oh, I might start the Walking Dead collection, because actually I do want to play the final season, which released this year. I own it all, and I started playing that. And whilst I was happy with where I'd left Sunless Skies, after playing a little bit of The Walking Dead and having that more narrative kind of focused game, I thought, actually, I do want to jump back into Sunless Skies. And my break from gaming was absurdly brief, in it being basically a week. But it was a week in which I wasn't constantly trying to chase that next experience.
Right, yeah.
And I was kind of very just content with not having to be playing games. And as I say, it wasn't really something I've ever kind of felt before. But it's allowed me to be a little bit, even just that week break has allowed me to be a little bit refreshed and go into playing some games that were sort of, the Walking Dead collection has been sat on my machine for a year, and I have not touched it. For just even a week break to think, but just even a week to just be like, okay, I'll start this. I'm more than happy to kind of jump back in and kind of begin playing this now. And I don't know how the two of you feel about it, because our previous conversations have been very much, you know, the idea of the gaming funk and finding something to kind of break us out for it. And I know we've we've all taken breaks from gaming previously, and they've all been quite sort of circumstantial, really. You know, Aadil with the PhD, and just sort of like falling out of that motion. Luciano with things like uni, you had sort of like little breaks from gaming and things like that. But I just wondered whether either of you had ever had that kind of break where you're, you know, it's not constantly sort of like nagging at you that you need to be doing something, that you need to play something else. Aadil, I recognise that doing the PhD and podcasting about games is not the, you know, that's not where this is going to come in. So, you know, has there ever been a time where this is, you know, where you've been happy with just not playing games?
If I'm honest, it has to do with being too busy has always been the key, where it's like, so like when I got my full-time job in IT, and then immediately afterwards became a full-time student again. Just didn't have the space in my life, and well, that's not true. I still managed to play games quite a bit, but I didn't feel. I guess when I was busy, I didn't feel the pull. It was when you said the pull to play games. That's sort of what drew me to that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been when I first moved to Amsterdam, and like I could take a computer, and it wasn't. I just didn't play games until I mentioned, ironically, to my brother-in-law that I don't play games anymore because I don't have a system. But it's been kind of refreshing because I've been doing other things with the time. I'm spending more time with my photography and other things. And all he heard was, oh, he doesn't have a video game system. So then they bought for Christmas. They bought from a Netherlands site an Xbox 360 and sent it to me, which was like really sweet, but also you didn't listen. I literally said I don't do this, but it's nice, and it's like, why don't you do it again? But like that period where I moved, I went to a new place. Even when I was settled, though, and it wasn't like I was super busy, etc., it was like, you know, I'm cool. Like, this isn't part of my life because I'm a starving student and I live in a 5 meter by 5 meter square box. Cool. I will figure other things out. And it was fine. And I think it's when I'm settled and I have access to games and I don't play them for a while that I feel the pull more. Yeah. But like even when I first moved to Bristol, I didn't have gaming systems. It wasn't really playing, but also it's the social pull, right? Like I ended up for a period of time had an Xbox One and a PS4 and a PC that could play games because most of my social time was with out of lives people, and and the Xbox, the people who had Xbox Ones were playing a lot of online multiplayer games. Why when I sold my Xbox One when those guys sort of went their own ways, didn't sell the PS4 because I was still playing with you, right? Like it just so I think one of the things I struggle with now is I like this social aspect of gaming and have less of it, and I think because of that I'm not playing as many games even now that I have more time because I've sort of lost the habit, but also one of the things that kept drawing me back to games was playing with other people.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then there's just like multiplayer's for fucking dorks. What's wrong with you, nerd?
Yeah. It's like me. I play games on my own. It's a personal experience, and it's like self-care almost. Like I never get like, maybe I should take a break from games. I feel like that way, like, if maybe alcohol or something like that, because it's like now and then you have a hangover, and like at the end of the day it's a depressant. It's like maybe I should start drinking. But with games it's like I never get like that. Obviously you get into the funks, but that's usually because just something's not grabbing me, as you said, Ben. You're coming from it from like, it's not grabbing me, so maybe I shouldn't just look for the next, chase it. Next fix. Whereas I'm like, that fix will come, but I'm probably still gonna look for it anyway. because I want to play. I like playing games. Like, I think it was last week. It was off air that me and Aadil. I think I was telling Aadil like, oh, sometimes I get in like moods to play something, and like looking at my list of games, I definitely go through phases. Like, oh, this month I just played mobile games. This month I just played games like Xbox. Oh, this game I just felt like playing PC games. And it's like recently in the last week, like I'm back to playing on Xbox. I don't feel like playing on my Switch. It's like, and it's usually like, oh yeah, I play everything on my Switch and just want to lie in bed and play the game easily. Like, no, play some big boy games on big boy Xbox. Yeah, real manly games like Alan Wake. And it's but it's like, yeah, I went through that period. It's probably about 2005 to 10, let's say, where it's like, yeah, just growing up, going to uni and stuff like that. It's like, it wasn't that I didn't want to play games. It's just like, oh, there's other things to do. But now it's just like, no, this is like my main hobby, my main passion. It's like, I want to play games all the time. It's annoying when my body's like, oh, you're just too tired to actually engage right now. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, just let me play a game. I never want to take a break.
Hey, body, get good.
Yeah. And it's like, I never want to take a break again, because it's like, I'm still ruined the fact that, you know, I missed out on like so many good games between like those, you know, that 5-year period. And it's like, that's why I'm going back now. And it's like, I wish I had experienced these games at the time. And it's not a...
Vintage Team Fortress 2 is still one of my fondest memories.
I mean, it's great going back and just having that, like, oh, look, you know, look what this was like. And
you could have been playing World of Warcraft for 5 years.
I mean, Alan Wake would have seemed well, to be honest, I played that in 2012, and it's like I stopped because I can see why I stopped it. It's okay, but it would have been like, oh, imagine if, you know.
Imagine if this was a better game without knowing what better games looked like.
Yeah, and it isn't a case of like the fear of missing out, because I don't care. It's like I'll buy games years after, and I'm fine with that. It isn't that. It's just like, oh, I wish it isn't to be like in the moment or in the zeitgeist or anything like that. It's just like, oh, imagine how more impressive this would have been from like a technical narrative, you know, standpoint if I'd played it back then. So
yeah. Do you kind of do you feel that you know, as well, you're kind of influenced a little bit by, say, like a new game coming out? So with something like Control, which is you know, coming quite soon, whether you feel the need to go back, and I think Quantum Break's been quite recent, but whether you feel the need to go back to the older Remedy sort of games, you know, like the you know, Max Payne and things like that.
No, I think it was literally because we were just talking about it. I was like, I might play that, because it's always been one that I wanted to go back to. I think it was just our conversation about Remedy. It's like, and I just sat down and I was like, you know, I'm going to play it today, which is cool, the fact that I can just go on my Xbox and just like, I want to play a game from 10 years ago and just play it, which is insane. But yeah, it's alright. Yeah. It's an okay game. Yeah. It's nice to see like where Remedy have come from. And,
yeah, definitely. I thought that Blair Witch reveal at E3 was a new Alan Wake game.
Yeah. It's a lot of fighting. Well, it's a lot of running through forests with a flashlight.
It might as well be, right?
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I think that's the whole thing. It's like, I'm sure in like 2010, I would have been more impressed with what it was doing. But
yeah, definitely. It's interesting that kind of, you know, the idea of not taking not the idea of not taking a break, but the not having that feeling that you kind of that you need to, and but you're not sort of like, you're not chasing those games, more so of being like, I could just play this game that I haven't played before and I want to experience. Having, you're not having that kind of, you know, that
new game
nagging
pressure.
kind of new game pressure and things like that. It's a much, at least, healthier kind of option.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, than having that kind of like that new game pressure, as you say, Aadil. And again, it's a healthier option as well to kind of not be in that mindset, I guess, and just being happy with being like, okay, sure, just this week I'm not doing this thing.
Absolutely.
there's other stuff to do. You know, I think it has helped for me at least that a lot of my time has been taken up with work, and that I'm working pretty much every evening, apart from a Thursday when we do this. I'm working almost every evening. I don't have much free time currently to need to occupy. But even then, the free time that I have had has been spent with Kim. Whether that is, you know, just sat outside having a drink, chatting, or watching an episode of something, or spent with Evelyn, or spent with friends and things like that. It's kind of it's just kind of just taken a bit, for me at least in the last week, it's just taken a bit of a back burner. And I just haven't had that same feeling that I've previously had, I guess.
No, I fully know what that's like. It's like, oh, I want to play something, I'm just not in the mood. I usually just place that onto, oh, I hate work. Why do I have to go to work? Why can I not play video games? But it's then like, even when I'm not, like, oh, I just don't feel like playing video games, and then I blame work again. It's like, oh, I have to go back to work tomorrow.
I don't feel like it now.
I just blame work. It's awful.
I actually think my problem is that I have not enough structure in my days, and so because I like nebulously have to be applying for jobs, doing the corrections on my PhD, trying to write papers, and all of those don't have any fixed deadline. I'm actually back in the same sort of mindset as I was like a year ago, where it's like gaming might not be the right move right now. So I have to find myself back into a schedule where I'm working enough in the day. I feel like I've worked enough so I don't have guilt for touching a gaming console.
Well, it's different for everyone. It's like, I just like, oh, I feel better once I played and finished a game, you know, that I've wanted to play.
I rarely finish games, so I never.
But even that was a thing, like having to finish like every game you start. I'm not like that anymore, thank God. Or like even achievements and stuff like that. I have to mop up all the achievements. It's like, no, like in Alan Wake, you have to kill 1,000 birds. Looked at the statistics. I'm on 400. I'm not killing 1,000 birds. That was it. You know?
But
I don't even pay attention to gamer score anymore.
Turns out I'm bad at Mario at this stage of my life, and I'm like, I bought Mario Maker, but
How can you not finish my level? It's so easy. Come on.
Like I definitely go back to it, but like I think I actually have to go through the campaign levels just to get my muscle memory back.
Those are really good.
My timing isn't great, and I think my big problem is that what pulled me to that game was I know a bunch of people were getting it and they were making levels, and it's like, oh, I'm bad at this game, I can't do these levels.
Make some.
Now why do I have it?
Make some and I'll play them. You obviously have to finish your own level, so maybe try to do that. But the story mode's really good, like really bite-sized little things.
So I think that's what I need to do. Just like I said, I think it's just been too long since I played a platformer, let alone a Mario game.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, like a 2D. I wasn't this bad at Mario Odyssey. Odyssey, is that the one that came out now? I forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's Mario Origins.
That's Rayman.
That's Assassin's Creed.
That's Rayman also.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed is the one that has the Odyssey game and the Origins game.
We're going to...
that was the joke.
So many Ubisoft properties called Origins.
Right.
Oh shit! Yeah, Rayman is Ubisoft.
That's probably
why I have it on my Uplay store.
That's the one being made, isn't it? Prince of Persia Origins, which takes you before all of the games when he became the Prince of Persia.
No, it's
just where he's born.
When you find out that
prince.
the sands of time are a specific rock that got eroded over time, I guess.
Yeah, starts from there.
Oh, that's a good place for us to finish our conversation for this week.
Yeah, making fun of Ubisoft once again.
Oh man!
Oh, speaking of 2D platformers, I played a platform that's about half an hour called Owen's Adventure. It's Welsh.
I mean,
and it's just a puzzle platform.
Is it good?
in a Game Boy Color Planet. Nice. I bought it for like 49p and enjoyed my
on Twitch, Steam.
Yeah.
You're becoming the #1 computer gamer of Tanked Up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, I've gone.
When you
got
say
back
Yeah.
becoming, has always been.
No, it's like.
I mean, when I had the thing,
No.
I was playing because of the Humble. I was at least like installing games and trying them out. I think that honestly, one of my biggest gaming glitches right now is I'm used to being a PC gamer. My PC can't play games.
Yeah, like I tried to install. Well, I did install a game called Night Call, which looks really cool. The lowest resolution is like 1280 by 720, and it's still chugging like hell.
Really?
On my Surface, so I don't know.
Surface,
my Surface, so I might try it on my Mac. But is Game Pass on Mac?
Nightcall.
Nightcall. Yeah, that's really cool. Like
Does
noir,
your Mac have a
premium-
graphics card?
Sorry, I don't know
Mac.
anything. I don't know. I bought it as it. You see, this is why I'm not the PC gamer. I don't update my drivers.
No, but I mean,
It's on like
does
a-
does it have a like? Is it a MacBook Pro or?
Oh,
like
it's a MacBook Pro
Yeah,
from
so it has a.
2013, and it says upgrade to Mac OS Mojave, and I don't know.
That one's okay. The next one that's coming out later this summer will.
Oh, so this
not
is like
work.
2 years old now.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I haven't even updated. There you
So
go.
the new one, they're doing away with 32-bit compatibility, which means a lot of apps
You think
won't
I
work.
know what this means? Like,
What it means is a lot of the games that are Mac compatible in Steam won't be Mac
oh
compatible.
yes.
on the
Oh
Switch.
yeah.
That's why I'm bringing it up. So if you are a Mac user and you play games on OS X,
Oh, so
do
it's
not upgrade to the new OS. It
Really?
will break everything. It's really awful.
because I saw
Because so
something.
few indie
like-
games or games that are like co-released are done 64-bit.
Yeah, because I was just looking at something like Tomb Raider, and it was like, oh, it's been upgraded to 64-bit on Mac. I was like, cool, thanks for the press
Yeah,
release.
so that's
It's like,
why
is
they're
that
saying-
why?
Yeah,
Jeez.
because otherwise,
You need
the-
a whole press
September,
release. That's cool.
otherwise in September you upgrade your machine and you can no longer play the game you own.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep it on whatever. This is this still?
I mean, you're
I don't. Is this Sierra? I don't know. What OS this is.
it's fine.
Yeah.
The updates have not been extremely big. They're not really worth it. There's some optimization, but it tends to be towards newer models at the expense of older models. So your best bet on if it's a 2013 Mac, just leave it on whatever it's at.
I just want to buy a pre-built beefy PC. That's just like a beast.
Fuck, I should.
Yeah,
You can get a
I
reasonable one
want
for like
to, but-
600-700 quid.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're not that expensive.
Because I'll be like, oh, but I could get the 1.5 grand instead. Imagine how good that would be.
Yeah.
Future-proof
Look at this
yourself for
HDR
years.
monitor.
Yeah.
Okay, but I kind of did that with this PC. It was an out-of-the-box Asus that I got on sale that I immediately upgraded the RAM and the graphics card in, and it lasted. Like it was my PC in Halifax.
Yeah.
I bought it like in 2015, and it lasted until 3 months ago. And if the PCIe slot hadn't died, it's an older i7, but like CPU bottlenecks don't exist right now. Like it's not where the bottleneck is, and so that's why PC gaming hasn't been that expensive.
I want to be.
I also
well,
put a fuck ton of RAM in it.
I did play the lottery Friday, so basically I want to be so rich where it's just like, oh, this is chugging. Just throw that PC in the trash. It'll probably end up on some Nigerian landfill, and I just won't even think about it because it's like I've got millions. Buy me a new PC, G.
So,
Master Chief doesn't exist anymore.
Play Doom Eternal.
I had to check after you said you bought yours in like 2014 or 15. I had to check when I bought mine, not really kind of knowing, but I remember that I bought it just before Star Wars: The Old Republic released, and that was released in 2011.
I was going to say that's
so I'm still using my PC from 2011, but it does have it had both hard drives in there are completely different.
Yeah.
It's got all new
graphics card.
RAM, new graphics card, like the motherboard essentially, and the case are the only things.
So say the
same.
big thing that shifted in PC gaming since like 2009-10 is that CPUs are so fast that like the motherboard CPU pair, which is the hardest to replace, just will last so many more years than it used to. And so long as you so then the big thing with your PC is that motherboard won't be able to handle the fastest of the RAMs right now.
Completely.
But you can still put like 32 gigs of RAM in it, so who cares?
Yeah, as long as it's like GDDR3 rather than 5 or something like that. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll get a new PC soon, probably.
I
think business expense, mate.
That's what I wanted to do.
So my plan is, originally I was thinking, could I buy a used motherboard and just like retrofit this? But I think I'll just wait. I've been living without it. I think I'll wait until I am being paid again and slowly buy pieces and just build a reliable, decent. I have a good graphics card if the graphics card still works.
But that's it. You've got enough components there as well to be able to buy something with a reasonable motherboard and instantly throw a load of stuff into it to kind of to lift it. You know,
the big problem is because I bought this small form factor mini ITX thing. The power supply is really bizarre. It's got two different plugs coming out of it. It's not the thing I could just plug into anything else. Obviously, I need a case. So now it's motherboard, processor, power supply, case. I could put old RAM in it, but you see how it goes, right? Like, I'm at that point where because the motherboard had the failure, it's just buying a new thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how much future proofing do I want to do? / can I afford? But also, but also, like, something that just does what this PC was doing is not expensive. It's only if I want to do more / future proof. Like if I just want to replace that functionality, I can kind of afford it in a couple months.
But as you say,
but then it's already on the age, right? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're then 2 years down the line, you've then got to spend more anyway, sort of thing. Yeah, very much right. Let's finish there this week. We'll discuss the beers that we have drank. Lucy,
what's your favourite beer?
I can't pick a favourite. I'm going to pick two again. It is the Inner Circle from Left-Handed Giant, 5.2% Pale Ale. Yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin, as Aadil calls them now. Super fresh and refreshing, hoppy, crisp. Fruitiness, slight bit of bitterness at the end, bringing all those hops into the forefront. Yeah, it's really good. Really enjoyed that. So that is my favourite beer.
Left-Handed Giant banging it out again as they do almost every beer they make. Good. For me, it's an easy pick this week, and it's going to be the Monyo, the Shatsi, which is the Hefeweizen, the first beer. It just. It was a Hefeweizen. It was doing just a little bit more than I kind of expected it to. Really refreshing, really easy beer that I could have just continued to have drank sort of all night, essentially. The Garden Brewery was a little kind of disappointing as
after I hyped them up.
Well, you did kind of hype them up, but on a tap kind of level rather than a can release sort of level. So, I mean, it wasn't really doing the New England IPA kind of thing very well, so it kind of just didn't really grab me. Perfectly fine beer to just have a drink of, but it didn't grab me. I don't think I would pick another beer up from them unless, on your recommendation, I saw it on tap somewhere. Right. So, yeah, the Monyo... The Shatsi, they're from Budapest. And Aadil.
So I think originally, after first taste, I would have said that it was the Salt Citra. The Citra by Salt. But the Manhattan Sour from Brick grew on me by the end. I think it was just more depth to it. Like I said, once my palate sort of acclimatized to that like sharp tartness at the forefront of the taste, it allowed me then start to really taste and appreciate all the other things going on. Again, I don't think it's doing the Manhattan thing well. But I
it's
really
just
like
a good beer on its
it
own
was like,
merits.
yeah. So my only complaint is even on those last sips, there were these slight moments of cough syrup. Like they just had this, like the cherry was just and the bitter just were working too well at the same point consistently throughout the taste that it was like, oh yeah, that's a cough syrup moment.
Isn't that
But then a
what
bunch of
vermouth
things
tastes
happened
like
afterwards.
anyway. That's the
Sorry?
one. That's what vermouth tastes like to me. Cough syrup.
But yeah, so I think the cherry is just sweet enough, and the orange that's coming through is just bitter enough that they play well together. Again, 5.9% could have been less. Couldn't really tell. I think the alcohol did help give a depth and give a counterpoint with its sweetness a little bit, but overall, just a really tasty beer. I would have it again, but I'd probably have to be in the right mood.
Ill. Needing some California.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Raspy cough.
Nice. Good. No, that's good. Good reasoning. It's very much like from both beers that you kind of described. It seems like they're kind of both almost like situational beers. Really, it would be interesting to see what the Salt Citra is not as the session, or what do they call it, like the junior version.
Yeah.
To see what kind of their bigger beer is like as well.
So what I liked about Salt was it made I want to see more of what they do. It was interesting. It was tasty. It was so a bit. I guess my biggest complaint was that at session strength there wasn't enough going on. Like it wasn't clearly a NEPA. It could have just been an IPA that was made with Citra. Like it just wasn't a depth where I could tell what they were aiming for with the extra qualifications. Right, it's a New England IPA. Well, it was a New England part. Everything was just a little too fleeting and too light for me to really see that characterization. And so yeah, I want to see sort of non-session strength, more sort of depthy drinks from them, because it wasn't bad, it was just not quite there.
Yeah, that's fair. So Lucy, if people want to talk to you on the internet, how do they do so?
It's Juicy Loose 9 everywhere. Twitch. Because I've never streamed. Sorry, I had to do the Aadil bit, but
yeah, it's good.
Yes. Untapped. Twitter, that awful place. Yeah, and Xbox and PlayStation.
Nice.
And Instagram.
Oh, and Instagrams. Aadil, if people want to talk to you, how do they do that?
I'm at the Omniarch on all of the things but Twitch, but that's okay because I also don't Twitch.
No, you do Twitch, you just don't stream.
Yeah. THEOMNIARCH. Also produce the other podcast on this network, the comedy podcast, This Next Act. I should be off hiatus and rolling out new episodes shortly.
Nice.
Yeah. Finally got some help, and so Sophia and I should be co-editing, thus able to churn things out more timely.
Nice. That'd be nice to have back on my feed as well, which has mostly just become about beer and games, essentially.
I don't.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
We're just finished.
Yay, cameo.
Kimio.
Yes. We've had
the thumbs.
a Kim, a
Kim phone.
measuring jug. We have not had a cat.
Okay.
Well, we have. Yeah, he was.
Oh,
on there.
is
He's there. He is.
Yay! The
So-
tricep.
This is the big problem with the couch is now Dorian prefers to sit on that, so you don't see him. But he was wondering about earlier.
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
nice.
all is
Good.
well in the world, and everything is balanced.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
and that's a Libra. That matters to me.
So
Next week
moving
we're
on
doing
very
astrology
soon.
cast.
No.
Oh, that game.
If
is
you
very
want to
strong.
talk to us to tell us that you don't want us to be astrology cast, no, don't do that.
No,
Yeah,
the
you
game,
can-
the astrology game.
Yeah,
Astrologaster.
Astrologaster.
Yeah.
We should call this podcast the Astrologaster.
The,
Caster Troy.
oh man. Call it.
If you want to talk to us on the internet, we are @TankedUpCast. There's no underscore anymore On Twitter, we are Tanked Upcast on Twitter and on Instagram. Which one of you is John Travolta and which one's fucking Nicolas Cage?
I'm clearly John Travolta.
Oh. John Travolta's the FBI agent.
Yeah.
That's great. Then I'm the guy with the 2 golden guns.
Yeah, and I'm the really creepy guy who like licks his daughter.
No, because that's Nicolas Cage in.
Yeah, I know, but that's John Travolta acting. For taking.
Oh dear.
I'd love that.
That's so good.
No, right, yeah. Go to outoflives.net and listen to other podcasts like this Next Act, which is going to be new episodes very soon. The Glorious Movies show and other things that people do, and go to Facebook and all that shit. Bye.
Want his face?
Oh. That's the end of that. That's great.
As a kid,
what do you mean?
I wanted every film to be directed by John Woo.
The weirdest thing about that film is, do you remember the face waterfalls? Like how John Travolta's family, to show they loved each other, would do this weird thing where they stroked, like they did this to each other. So creepy. Like next time you're with a loved one, do that to them. And just look at their face. There's just it's awful.
It's the horror.
But like even doing it to yourself, it feels awful. It's the worst thing you can do. Maybe, or licking, I guess. Licking is probably the worst. But yeah.
www.outoflives.net